At the uncle.
That's a good question. I don't know. What's the uncle's message going to be here? Always get something very interesting from Uncle. Oh, and it looks like we're getting started here. And welcome to Stoops Long's house. And the answer to the question is 100 rupees in the very first chest in the game. So again, this is the standard standard randomizer mode. So not open, meaning you'll have to go through and do all of the usual early game stuff here through getting to Sanctuary. And that includes making the trip over to the magical floating bush.
That's a very interesting point. I never thought about that.
What, the bush magically floats?
Ooh. That is going to be an interesting start. Getting the bombs, which have been added with the latest version of the randomizer. Now, with optimal strats, it only takes 7 bombs to get through the escape ball. The guards and bombs can be quite unpredictable sometimes.
Yes, indeed. It's not too hard to get some of the early guards because you can use these statues and chests to trap them, and Raikou's actually going to pick up an 11th bomb there, so that's just a little bit more safety.
Oh, very nice indeed.
But both of our runners will be doing the traditional Zelda rescue and escape through the sewers to Sanctuary, so they'll at least want to have 1 bomb left over to open up that left side triple chest area.
Yes, that will open 3 more items, which would otherwise be blocked by either the lamp or the glove upgrade.
Indeed. And one of the things to keep in mind is more likely than not, one of them's probably going to be a map. Ooh.
Oh, Raikou.
A sword.
Picking up the chest. Interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be to Seph's advantage, and Raikou's probably going to feel a little bit bad about that. But he'll be all right.
Definitely. This is only 2 minutes into the race, and we still have a lot of randomizer to go. But that sword is definitely a very nice find, allowing our runners to clearly escape a little bit more efficient, and as well as save their bombs for the backup escape, as you mentioned earlier.
Indeed, that's going to be a little bit of a time save here as far as getting through to escape. They don't have to mess around so much. It's a lot quicker to use the sword as you normally would than it is to try and use the bombs. Have to set all of that up.
Yeah, and also that does allow for the NMG strats to be executed. And I had a little chat with Raikou, and he is also starting to run the low percent, so he definitely has more than enough experience with the level 1 sword in escape.
Indeed, that the experience and that knowledge usually will pay off early on when you're trying to do some of the execution around here. Get that optimization. You're going to see both runners go ahead and use the pots here. Probably the quickest way to take care of the ball and chain guard.
Oh, Kid almost forgetting Zelda. Now, one thing to note, if you don't have Zelda, when you go up to the throne room, you are unable to move the altar to enter into the sewers. So it's definitely of great importance that both of these runners pick up Zelda and make sure to rescue her from her dark dungeon.
Indeed, you gotta have 2 people to help push it. It's a very, very, very heavy little altar back there, you know.
It's probably made of gold, really.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could, maybe if they could push it, they could just push it out of the castle and go find some guy to sell it to rupees. Maybe Bottle Vendor wants it.
Oh yeah, the Bottle Vendor takes a lot of items, including just random fish and bees.
So some nice RNG there. The guard not catching on until they were past him is very, very helpful. It doesn't save a whole lot of time if he hits you versus not hitting you, but it's just nice not to have to worry about it.
Yeah, that is very true. Of course, guards work quite strangely within this game. The way that they determine whether or not they can see you is they will, quote-unquote, shoot out an invisible object and if that object is in your path, they will start the aggro state. Otherwise, you can just walk past them without them knowing that you're walking past them.
So confirm that guards shoot invisible laser beams to hit you.
Yes, that is also the reason that sometimes you might occasionally hookshot a guard or use the boomerang and it'll just bounce off of thin air. That's exactly when you hit Oh!
Ooh,
sorry, that's with an interruption.
Certainly is.
Wow. Now,
we've got 2 swords early, yeah.
That might put Aghanim within early logic. Of course, we have yet to find the lamp to make it fully in logic, but
indeed.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we were thinking the same thing there, Stan. And we were both trying to say, you know, I'll put Zaga in logic and just try not to trip over each other. Like, no, you go ahead and say it.
I did kind of hope for an Aga seed, but I actually don't hope because that's horrible. And I'm definitely a nice person.
Indeed.
Yeah, as we do get to see the 3 chests in the back of Escape, small shield, a big bit of love. Not much of value, really.
Well, I think the heart's probably a little bit of value here in the early game. Having 4 hearts is always preferable to having 3. Keep in mind, they do just have red mail, so they're going to be having to kind of go through some of these early dungeons. Not too difficult, but you know, you get to the Dark World. If you get Dark World access, you want to have as many hearts as you can early on, especially if you're going to dive Thieves Town very early.
That is true. The game does expect you to have quite a few hearts as we get some final bombs from the Sanctuary. Both of our runners completing Escape just over 6 minutes, and they're off onto the world of Hyrule. Now, I do expect both of these runners to go for the quote-unquote meta route of the Lost Woods into Kakariko into South Shore. But depending on what items we find, there are about between all 3 locations, there are, I think, about 25 unique item locations. So each with about 16% of containing progression.
That's some very good science there. And one of the things to keep in mind too is that in his commentary, in his tournament bio, Raikou mentioned that he knows how to do all of the dark rooms. So, kind of interested if that includes. I assume that includes the agate dark rooms. I'd be very interested to see, you know, if maybe this starts to point towards an agate seed. If he's gonna go ahead and take an early guess and try and do that.
That would definitely be an interesting play to see someone go to Aghanim without the lamp.
I would agree on that. And just a 10 arrow upgrade there. Yeah, if he does that and he guess if that's, you know, the right play to make and you make it first, that's going to be a significant time advantage.
That is indeed true. As if that were the case, then Kid is probably going to be searching for that lamp to make sure that it is actually within sequence. As runners would like to skip Aghanim, as it does take a considerable amount of time.
And sometimes, sometimes it's also a situation where you think it's Aga, and then you check that one last place, and suddenly it becomes not Aga. And then you're like, well, shoot.
Yeah, definitely don't want to make the call too early, but of course, waiting for too long can also be very hurtful. Randomizer can be very cruel sometimes.
Right, and we are here in Kakariko, making the usual Kakariko checks. It's starting off with the blind hut basement. Got some flippers, big 20. The mirror.
Can we get some?
And what do we got here? No pearl. Just no pearl yet. Just bombs. Maybe the pearl's hiding back here.
Yeah, we still have one chest. Secretly in the way, containing a blind stash of 20 quid.
Just another big 20. And once again, like always, this race brought to you by the Big 20. You're going to get sick of it.
About 22 times, I believe.
I think it's actually more like 26 or 27, but yeah, it's a lot. So with that, we've actually got enough here for a check of the bottle vendor. I assume we'll see both runners go do that immediately after they clear out the well here. Ooh.
As we find the book in the well.
I think that's a pretty good read. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Did you just see that?
I mean, it's invisible, right? Can't see.
Yeah, well, it's the magic cape. Unfortunately, they don't necessarily need it. And we've got a red crystal at Eastern Palace, and then the red pendant at Desert Palace, and Tower of Hera
Valuable.
is the blue pendant, and that bottle vendor check sure was a good one.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks to our uncle leaving us an allowance of 100 quid to get that Luna.
Super interesting decision here by Raiko. He's gonna go all the way up to pedestal and check pedestal right now.
This might be huge.
I don't necessarily think this is a bad idea at all. This is early knowledge. You know, do I need to go in and complete all of the pendant dungeons? He's gonna know at 10 minutes here, and it's just couch cash. So a little bit of a walk here, but that's gonna be a lot of peace of mind for him.
Yeah, that is very true. Now, of course, that will make sure that Raiko will not complete any unnecessary pendant dungeons. But as of now, Kid does not know of that, so he might have the pedestal at the back of his mind.
That's a possibility, but I'm sure, like a lot of runners, probably not thinking about that right now. Just probably thinking, okay, I go do my early checks, do the early routing. Raiko picking up the Moon Pearl there.
Okay, and I've looked it up, and there are 20 rupees in the game randomized.
28. I thought it was like 27 or 28, but I stuck with 27 because I'm usually off by 1.
Fair enough. Kid now making his way to the South Shore. We'll be able to check the dam. We'll get to see if he remembers he has the mirror. Does so. Mm-hmm. We'll be performing a minor glitch in the form of just deleting a block.
One of my favorite glitches.
Yeah, the game does not like when two actions are performed at the same time, such as a moving object and using an item that cannot be used at the current location.
Mm-hmm. And it is another thing you'll see with the hookshot later. You can do the hookshot through the block to connect to another hook to another block with the hookshot and pull yourself through. A lot of that has to do with the fact too that the block, when it's moving, becomes a sprite instead of being just a hard coded object that you can't pass through.
Yes, that is very true indeed, as we did get a vanilla piece of heart from the dungeon as Kid makes his way into the Moldome Cave.
Yes,
5
indeed.
items. Some consider it hype cave, but
even when hype cave isn't hype, I think there's only one hype cave. Oh, there's a bottle, some arrows, 300 rupees.
More cash. Now that does give our runners over $500 or rupees rather to make that Zora check, which is in logic due to the fact that we found the flippers in the thieves' den.
Correct. It is in logic. It doesn't necessarily mean that the game intends for you to go check it, because rupee counts aren't necessarily always tied to, do you have to go to Zora or not. But it is within the logic that you can do it here. The game usually just assumes that you have enough to do it anyways. So even if they didn't find that 300 there, the game would probably just still assume that, hey, you can access Zora with the flippers.
Yes, for every single location, the game will assume that you have basically full equipment in terms of magic, money, bombs, and arrows, as well as life. So that is one thing to take in mind. The randomizer will only account for usable items.
We're actually getting some nice divergence here at the start. There's the lamp.
Wow.
Nice rod cave. That was a good play by Kid. Raiko instead going over to desert. Probably going to do Agina's cave, check the ledge, maybe even dip into desert here.
With that book, that does look like the seed is wanting our players to go. Now with that lamp, that will put Kid.
Just a regular death for Kid, yeah.
Oh yeah, we do have to flip this, so. But with that, Aghanim is fully in play, and with that, we could have any of our doubtful access items on the pyramid.
That is indeed correct.
As we find the hook shot on the Lake Hylia Island, our runners will definitely be coming back for that one, as it is required to beat this game.
That's always a nice check to see if that's something that you're going to need. Very easy check, even if you don't have flippers. You just have to jump in at the right spot, and you can see what's on the island. You get to see what Hobo has. Meanwhile, Raiko going through and checking out what's inside Desert Palace.
Yeah, very curious. Squirtle, being a water Pokemon, you would think that he'd prefer the water instead of the dry desert.
And Mega Man, of course, being a robot. Or, I'm sorry, he's not a robot. I'm gonna get yelled at here.
I've given up on the Mega Man lore by now.
Yeah, I forget where technically he's. I think he's technically still a Reploid. Maybe he's a Maverick. I'm not certain on that. Someone's gonna have to remind me of that. I think no, the Mavericks were all formed by what am I doing here? This is a different game. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. No worries. Askit had a little bit of trouble getting into the whirlpool. Of course, swimming is not the most reliable in this game. As we get a bottle from the Waterfall of Wishing.
Indeed, aka Waterfall Cave. And it looks like Kid is going to go ahead and check up here while Raiko has bounced out of Desert Palace.
Yes, unfortunately, I believe only a hard container was found, but other than that, not much that is going to help this seed along. Now, Raiko is going to go ahead and clear out the South Shore. Of course, being in the Sphere 1 item pool, one of the more valuable locations.
And he will find some value here.
And only bombs. Ow.
The Zora was a lie. What a shock.
I mean, for Raiko, yes, that would be shocking.
Ha! Nice.
With that out of the way, we do see Kid making the Aghanim call.
Interesting, because keep in mind, we haven't seen an Eastern Palace play yet from Kid, and he does have a bottle. He has 2 bottles, in fact, so he can go do Sick Kid. Hasn't chosen to do Sick Kid yet. He's actually going to make the early call here based on what he's found so far and say that, yes, Aga is required, which, you know, you do have Master Sword, you do have Lamp. That's enough to get you in and get you through, so.
Of course, getting Aghanim over earlier rather than later it's definitely a good idea, but you don't want to make the call too early.
Yeah, because there could still be something in Eastern Palace that would, if there's a lift upgrade in Eastern Palace, then yeah, it's not a bad call. It's just, you know, hey, you didn't have to do that so early. I think a lift upgrade and hammer actually are still needed.
Yes, and with that, Raiko is going to turn to the waterways and get his information on the hook shot, as well as the rest of the flippers checks.
One of the nice things that will be here for Kid once he completes the Aga Tower climb here and defeats Aga is that he will have access to that hook shot right away.
Oh yes, that is true. We did find the mirror also in the Thief's Den next to the flippers. So.
Yep, and he can just dive into the water right away from the pyramid there and swim around to get to where the location is you need to mirror back into the light world from. So I'm kind of curious here if Raiko is actually going to go up this ramp here. And no, he's going to bypass that. Oh, he hasn't done Zora yet.
Yeah, he's going to get his bombs as well as his second bottle. Meanwhile, Kid having a little bit of trouble with these red guards. Does dispose of them. We'll be moving on to the rest of this mini gauntlet. Ooh.
So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what Raikou does next here. If we see the Aga player, if we see a drop into Eastern Palace, because keep in mind too, we haven't even seen what's in the back of Sasrala's hut.
Yeah, neither of runners have even set foot into the Eastern Palace compound, so Downward Access could be waiting for us right there.
Yep. Which not necessarily awful. You know, it's not like if it is there, that Kid's not gonna find it. But it'll just be a little bit later, and it doesn't necessarily mean either that Raikou is going to have a significant lead if that access is found, because it looks like Kid's going to take down Aga by the time that Raikou goes and checks that. So
yeah, well, that Raikou is going to make the call to go for the Eastern Palace first before clearing out Aghanim, as Kid is making his way into the Aghanim 1 fight.
So it will be a little bit before we can see here, probably, if one call is more correct than the other one right now, just based on the pathing for the seed.
Definitely, as well as defeating Aghanim does give you a rather convenient portal to the Pyramid of Power.
Mm-hmm.
As we do get the Sahasra check here.
No, nothing
like
there.
Much of value. It's going to opt to forgo the Eastern Palace.
I think it's probably Aga play for Raikou as well, maybe. Going back to his house. Yeah, I'd assume that's the case. We'll probably see him turn and head up here.
Yeah, with that. As Kid is finishing off Aghanim, Raikou is going to make his way towards Aghanim, as we'll get to see what hides on the pyramid and whether or not it is our progression.
And even if it isn't, we'll probably see Kid go down and grab. It's just just an upgrade, but Kid will probably still go down and grab the hook shot here. That will offer some.
Good idea.
And it'll offer some potential progression. And see him quick.
No,
oh no,
he is.
He remembered. He remembered.
Yeah, I think he was also looking to farm a bit more rupees for the Palace of Darkness. Although we might only be able to get one item within logic.
Oh, is he actually going to go to pod first? Interesting.
I
no,
think he's
maybe
going to combo the Eastern Palace, seeing as though he did equip the mirror.
Indeed, he is.
Ooh.
Oh, he's going to teleport right into the side of a mountain there.
Unfortunately, not everything lining up perfectly between Light and Dark World.
Indeed, and unlike some kind of science fiction horror, you don't end up like halfway trapped in the rock, yelling, "Help me, help me!"
That would be horrible. That would be horrible.
No, you get a free teleport back. Oh,
having defeated Aghanim does put a lot more guards around the Light World, including around the Eastern Palace.
Yep. Yeah, but Raikou is going to go ahead and make his way up the tower here. Going through some of the dark rooms. Thankfully, he's got the lamp. Doesn't have to worry about putting that dark room knowledge to practice today. Which is probably, even if you know how to do it, it's nice to have the lamp.
Yeah, dark rooms are definitely one of the more difficult parts of executing this game.
Yeah,
if not for just the simple fact that you can't see where you are.
Yeah, they kind of range from being minor inconvenience to nightmarish hellscape. And we just found out the green pendant's in Skull Woods.
Ooh. Now that does put the item count for Skullwoods up to 3. Now I doubt that our runners, once they get alcohol access, are going to skip the Skulls area as it is readily accessible once you have alcohol access. Of course, we might not see runners go all the way with the defeating of Mothula, but
yeah, they'll need the fire rod to be able to get back there to even go ahead and do that.
Kid, meanwhile, making the play into the... I almost said Palace of Darkness. Into the Eastern Palace. Definitely some darkness in this palace, but significantly less.
Yeah, I see a question in chat about why hasn't Kid gone and got that hookshot yet? Well, I think part of it is it doesn't really open up anything access-wise yet that's not already accessible given what the runners have, so there's no need to go run over and get that at the moment when you can go ahead and check through Eastern Palace. I think he'll eventually kind of make his way back toward that Lake Hylia Island to pick that up.
Yeah, that does seem like a solid course of action. Now, unfortunately, with Kid missing the hookshot, can't do the quick check of this chest. We'll have to go the long way around, solve this puzzle, question mark?
Kind of the intended way. And Raikou going ahead and fighting Aga. So one of the interesting things about the Aga fight is that there are 2 guaranteed moves that Aga will make as far as whether he'll shoot yellow balls, blue balls, or lightning. The first one's always going to be a yellow ball that you can reflect back. The sixth shot is always going to be lightning, and it's a 6-shot pattern. So the other 4 that are in between are kind of a 50-50 chance between getting the blue ball set there that you don't want because you can't do anything with that, or a yellow ball you can reflect back into Aga's face, which is what you want.
Yes, that is true. Also, one thing to note, while it is random whether or not Aghanim shoots a blue ball or an energy orb, the pattern at which it does so is set in stone once the seed is generated for the first entry into the boss fight, as we find ether in the big chest. Meanwhile, Dark World map check, other crystal is going to be vanilla ice.
Ice, baby.
That Skullwoods green pendant that we did find out from our old man Sahasra.
And of course everything else, because 2 pendants are in the light world, that means that everything else except for that green pendant in Skull Woods would have to be a crystal.
Yes, crystals and pendants are randomized, but they are kept at the same quantity.
Yes.
Being pendant red, blue, and green, and crystal 1 through 7.
So very interesting here. We didn't actually get a whole lot of change in between. We got basically green pendant swapping with Eastern Palace, which had essentially and the crystals just moved around. So it's actually going to be a fairly vanilla pendant crystal layout here, just with some differences in where exact crystals are located.
Yeah, that's true. Now Raikou is opting to take a dive into the Palace of Darkness.
I think Kid's gonna head there too.
Yeah, using his previous portal that he made to go back to the Dark World. Of course, does have enough rupees to pay our favorite extortionist, Kiki the Monkey, a grand total of 110 to open the dungeon.
Well, it's 110 unless you get hit by one of the anemones there, and then it's 120.
Yes, he is a little scaredy cat, so if you do get hit while escorting him, he will just run away.
Yeah, that's happened to me more times than I'd like to count, because I keep forgetting I should sword slash these guys right here.
Yeah, definitely a more annoying occurrence rather than a painful one.
So, the little star next to the pendants and crystals, next to the pendant indicates that it's the green pendant, which is a item that you can turn in on its own to Sahasrahla, and you will get an item for that. On the crystals, it means that they are the red crystals, which you need to get the red bomb out of the bomb shop to open up the pyramid fairy.
Meanwhile, we have found the level 3 sword in Palace of Darkness.
Very nice. So that will be very helpful for the Aga fight, not the Aga fight, but the Ganon fight in the future. That means you don't really have to worry about the Master Sword Silverless strats.
Yeah, Silverless still eluding us as of now, but we have a lot of game to get through still.
And indeed, the bow will be required because of both Palace of Darkness here and Eastern Palace needing to be full cleared. Or not necessarily full cleared, but cleared at some point.
Yes, on top of that, the bow is also always required to finish the game due to the presence of Gorias in Ganon's Tower, which only take damage from the bow.
Yes, the red Gorias are bow only. Much like the red Igors are also bow only.
Yes, which is, funnily enough, the only reason that the Eastern Palace is bow required, as the Armos Knights do take damage from a variety of weapons, including the boomerang, although I won't recommend trying to boomerang the Armos Knights.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it either. It's just a huge long fight.
Yeah, I believe it's like 32 boomerang per night.
Yeah, it's something like that, and that's actually one of the cool things about the game, as far as the just the design, is the presence of those red Igors there that you can only progress past by having the bow. Means that you cannot skip past the bow to complete the dungeon. It's kind of like a little intended check. It's very nice.
Yeah, definitely a very modular game, if you will, with the different item setups. As Raikou will get another item, the hookshot from the Lake Hylia item. We'll definitely be happy to pick that up at last.
Indeed, very nice to have that. Still missing the hammer to be able to go into the Swamp Palace here, but making some definite progress here on everything else. And actually, that will grant Raikou the ability to cross over. He might be. He's gonna be going back into House of Darkness, I guess. But oh no, he's gonna go into this cave real quick here.
Wait, can you do that? I think you need either the hammer or a glove.
Oh yeah, there might be a rock in the way for that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it's like before or after the blockade, but you do.
It might be. Yeah, it might be before.
I'm not quite sure. I guess we're going to find out soon.
Yeah, doesn't really have a whole lot of other places to go. Hype Cave is still on the. Actually, no, Hype Cave isn't even on the table because you need a hammer to get down there. Yep, you were correct on that. So,
I do think that they can swim right near to the Dark Potion shop, which would omit
yes, they can.
Yes, that would omit the requirements for a hammer or glove.
Tricky. Sometimes you forget about that. That's not a place that you often have to navigate to get around. But yeah, that is actually the correct play here to get across.
Yeah, a very, very rare occurrence to have to not even have a hammer or a glove when entering the Dark World. Now, with that, Raikou is able to check the north side of the Dark World, getting the Graveyard Ledge. Fortunately, he can't get into the King's Tomb, as that does require the boots. But who knows? Boots might be sitting right here.
And he's got to take the long way around, unfortunately, to be able to get there. But we'll be able to check this Graveyard Ledge, which is providing itself to be quite an interesting play in version 29. A lot of the a lot of the times I'm seeing it checked recently, it's become one of those, trash or treasure kind of things where you either find something that's progression, like the glove,
There it is.
or you find nothing and it's just like a rupee. So that was indeed the play, was to go to Lake Italy Island, get the hook shot, and now you've got your glove from Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah, Raikou, unfortunately, will be spat back due to his portal placement. You do want to walk a little bit to the left or right after walking up the stairs, because the game does not like to put you inside of a wall, as that does allow you to reach some unintended areas, which is, of course, against the tournament rules to use major glitches.
Yes, indeed, correct. Thankfully for us, and thankfully for Andy and Truzel and a couple of other people, hovering, not a major glitch. So we'll get to see some checks here. I think we'll see Raikou go up and check. He's got the cape, so you might as well check it anyways. But it's always nice, even if you're making this route, just to go up and check the Bumper Cave Ledge, because it's kind of out of the way, so it's really hard to route in a lot of times. And it can, not today, it's only 50 rupees, but it can have progression on there, and you want to be able to know if you need to get that cape in case you don't have it.
Yeah, definitely. Knowledge is power within the randomizer, as it does allow you to make a more educated guess as to what the seed wants you to do. Now, with that, Raikou has arrived in the Village of the Outcasts. Again, a bit of a more lucrative location, having 3 unique item locations as well as Thief's Town.
Yes, indeed. So we don't have the Titan's Mint yet, so we don't have even more locations to go from there, because there would be several locations to the south and east that would open up as well.
Very true. Now, we could still have a vanilla glove upgrade, of course, but we'll just have to wait and see as we find the blue boomerang in the brewery, as Kid is going to acquire his power glove.
Yeah, 37 minutes in here, still a pretty close race. Could easily go one way or another just based on a small check here or there.
Yeah, now one interesting thing is
That is interesting.
That is indeed interesting. Wow, already Gold Sword before having full Dark World access. Wow. Oh, but what I was about to say is it's going to be interesting if either of these runners are going to check Sick Kid while they're in the Village of Outcasts. It does look like Raikou is prioritizing the Thief's Town, and we find Blue Mail.
Blue Mail's a really nice find here. Going to help with that blind fight as well. And just help with the dungeon in general, because this dungeon is intended to be the 4th dungeon. It's usually for Dark World, and sometimes occasionally even in the Rando, is the very first dungeon that you have to go into and complete. And yeah, you were not supposed to be in here with 6 hearts, fighter sword and green mail. You're supposed to be in here with a lot more than that, so everything hits very hard.
Yeah, of course, going a little bit out of sequence with the dungeons compared to the developer intended routing, as we get the Squirtle Squad leader from the Bunny Beam.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is that Thieves Town is actually one of the dungeons in the game that you can take earlier than intended, even than the just regular vanilla version of it.
Yes, the technically all the dungeons in the light world, if you pick a random one, that can be the first one that you complete. Of course, depending on which one you pick, you might have to dip into other dungeons. But
oh, we're actually seeing oh, and there's the other mail upgrade. It's on Gary. Old man Gary, nice. So yeah, this is also a good play too from Kid going up to do Death Mountain. That also opened up with the glove, so it'll be interesting to see if either of these turns into a better play. They're both good plays so far, I think, because you've got a crystal on one hand, and you do have the mirror, so
yeah, that does give us access to the Tower of Hera. Although only a pendant might be worth.
Well, Kid's also going to have. He's also going to have East Death Mountain. There's the Titan's Mint. Oh my
No
goodness.
need. Timesmith opening up a whole host of different item locations.
Including some in the Dark World here on Death Mountain. So this will be very good for Kid's routing. He'll be able to go ahead and do the Light World side of East Death Mountain and go and do the Dark World side of East Death Mountain, because with the hook shot and the Titan Smith, that's all you're going to need for that.
Yeah, and with the Tidesmiths, that also gives us access to Jeremiah the Bullfrog.
And pretty much all of the other checks to the south and east here for Village of Outcasts. We won't be able to do the dig check. We don't have the shovel, so we can't warp to Light World and then do that check, and we can't do hammer pegs yet. But everything else, from Stumpy to K45 to digging game, all of that's in logic for him.
I believe you can do the digging game without a shovel.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about the dig spot.
Oh, sorry, I
yeah,
misunderstood.
It's okay. There's two digging spots very close to one another. It can be confusing sometimes.
Yeah, definitely a lot to keep track of within A Link to the Past. A lot of locations, a lot of requirements. As Raikou is going to save the Maiden in Trouble. Unfortunately, does not have the hammer. Will have to go the big chest, which I have not personally been counting items, but if there is an item in there, that might come down to weigh on the runner's minds.
And Kid is going ahead and working through Paradox Cave, has already found the big 20 and the fire shield. Going to grab the big 5 chests up here, have to deal with the mini Moldorms. And just nothing so far. There's Quake.
Well, that might be important.
Mm-hmm. And the big 20. And
wow. Wow. 2 medallions.
Yeah, we're good on Meyer and Turtle Rock, guys, as far as medallion access.
Yeah, that is a very nice triplet of items to get, as it cannot elude you for go mode. As we got a very nice blind fight from Raikou in the meantime. We'll be taken down blind and receiving the first crystal. A whopping 42 minutes in.
I don't even know what this seed is anymore, Stan. I don't even know.
I mean, it's been slow-ish. Like, the runners have gotten a lot of items, just not enough to really clear any crystal dungeons.
No, it's not a hard seed. It's not like a super easy seed. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, definitely a lot of unorthodox routing required to get progression, as that was 100% required to go the long way around using the flippers and the hook shot. As the sick kid only gives some bombs after showing him your bottle.
Yeah. That's a shame.
He's got an explosive nature. Talking about explosive. What's not explosive? The shovel game. Well, it might be explosive, depending on what we find.
Be. Yeah, we don't know yet.
Meanwhile, Kid is going to make the Dark Death Mountain play. Again, a lot of items in a very dense location, so definitely one of the earlier locations to be checked.
A lot of digs required so far here.
Yeah, we might go for the full 30.
Oh!
Silver arrows! Now that is explosive.
That is sigh of relief.
Item. Unfortunately, not having the bow won't be able to just take them out of the quiver and throw them. But once we find the bow, that's definitely a nice item to have, as it is one of the most powerful in the game.
Mm-hmm. Gonna make mincemeat of a lot of these bosses that Raikou and Kid have yet to go ahead and investigate and fight.
Yeah, we do see a lot of divergence. Raikou opting to stick to lower Dark World, whereas Kid is opting to clear the entire Death Mountain. Definitely not a bad kill, but with the amount of items available in both of these locations, I do think that our runners are going to crisscross each other, and we'll be following in each other's footsteps.
Very likely, because we're still quite a few items away from go mode here for both of our runners, so they're going to have to check a lot more. And I'm interested to see, I think Kid's probably going to go up here. Yeah, he's going to go up and grab that half magic. I would too. I think that's just a smart move. It's going to make a lot of dungeons. Why?
Oh.
Kid, why are you bomb jumping across that? Just walk to the side.
Yeah, it does follow a little hook pattern with a gap in the middle, which can be revealed by using the ether medallion. But it looks like Kid is unaware of that. Does get the bomb jump. Very nice.
Oh, still got it. So I got a little bit of swag. Raiko, meanwhile, going to check Bombo's tablet, see if there's anything there. It's
the boots. Oh no!
What is this seed?
No. Well, I mean, we want to go fast, so there we go. You just have to walk all the way to the Bombo's tablet to get the boots. Quite ironic, if you ask me. Meanwhile, Kid picking up his half magic as his prize for getting the bomb jump. We'll be opting the saving quid.
And Hype Cave for Raiko here. Very good call after doing all the checks down here. Finish up with that. 5 items in here. Now, I don't know how much is even left to be in Hype Cave at this point. We've just found so much so far.
I mean, yeah, we could get all of our required items in terms of hammer, bow, cane of Samaria.
Nope. Not going to be the case. Shovel.
That's still a question mark.
Welcome to Troll Cave population. Welcome to Troll Cave population shovel. So I get the feeling that we're going to get something really dumb as our go mode item. Like bow is going to be it, and they're going to have to basically tear the world apart to try and find the bow.
Yeah, they're going to dig a giant hole with that shovel we found. Meanwhile, Kid is making his way into the village of the Outcast. We'll be checking the 2 locations. Hopefully, won't forget the Sick Kid as well as a little bit of Thieves Town.
Indeed. So this is very interesting to see. On the left, Kid's got all 3 medallions. On the right, Raiko has 0. Hasn't picked one up yet because he hasn't been in the Eastern Palace and he hasn't been up to Paradox Cave to pick up those 2 remaining medallions.
Ooh, that is true, although it does have a couple of other nice items in terms of the boots and silvers, as well as the golden sword.
Indeed, and of course, he's going to go up to Death Mountain now, so he'll start to get some of those items that Kid's already got. Like the Titan's Mitt, probably will make his playing get the other remaining items as well.
Yeah, our runners are doing the switcheroo that I mentioned. Kid picking up his golden sword will most likely be checking the T-Sun as well as the rest of the Southern Dark World. We're expecting to see if Kid opts to immediately check the shovel after he gets to Hype Cave. Meanwhile, Raikou will be picking up his red mail, as he already did find the 1 mail upgrade in T-Sun, I believe.
That is correct. That was really, I think, the only item that we found in Thieves Town that was of a lot of value.
Now, something that we did not see from Raiko due to missing the Titansmiths is the Dwarfensmiths check. And for 10 rupees, they will forge you a bigger quiver.
Indeed.
Now, unfortunately, not having hammer or powder, won't be able to check the remaining items. Does opt to skip the purple chest for now.
I think probably because either a dip into Thieves Town here, which I assume, looking by the path here, is going to be the case after a sick kid check, or maybe it's going to be going down to digging game real quick here.
Yeah, definitely a lot of options open to both of our runners. As Raiko will be picking up his Titansmiths. We'll be very happy to get those, as that does give us access to the rest of the Dark World with ease.
And this is definitely 49 minutes and 30 seconds in. This is definitely a race that's still wide open. I mean, if you were like, who's in the lead? I don't know. We're actually probably way too early to have a real feel on that because of the divergence that these two runners have had in their paths. They're eventually going to check everything probably, one is checked, so there'll be one after the other, but there's just the initial divergence here going up, East Mountain for Kid and then going into Thieves Town and doing some of the Dark World stuff for Raikou is just going to go ahead and make it a little difficult at the moment to kind of figure that out.
Kid, meanwhile, receiving his golden armor as Raikou is going to take a peek in the Tower of Hera. I don't believe we saw this from Kid on his way up.
Nope, we did not. Kid went ahead and just went to East Mountain and did Paradox Cave. I love that.
Is that
the bunny beam. Yeah, Dr. Light for the bunny beam for Kid. That Mega Man X skin, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Raikou finding the big key in the first basement chest. We were able to head upstairs without having to go through the dreaded tile room. Of course, having that gold sword makes this room pretty much child's play. Hardy battles, hard hat beetles dying to just a single slash.
It's the most satisfying thing in the world. Those beetles, especially when the red ones go down like 1 or 2 slashes. It's just like, oh yes, that is such a wonderful feeling because otherwise they are just so trolly. They take so many hits.
Yeah, they have loads of health as well as an extremely annoying knockback akin to the knockback of a Master Sword spin. We do find the Smoky in the big chest, so it'll depend on whether or not Mulderum has either a dungeon item or a unique item, whether or not we might have to go to the basement.
And we do have the lamp, so both of our runners can go ahead and complete that basement if need be.
Yes, as it does require a fire source by way of either the lamp or the fire rod, which is something you will only forget once after wasting your time. And
yeah, I hope you didn't blink there because Muldorm's dead.
Serves him right. There won't be any trolls for us today.
Mm-hmm.
Although only a pendant as a reward might not be as valuable as Raikou would have hoped.
Yeah, unfortunately, just getting that piece of heart. So, yeah, we haven't seen the Skull Woods check yet, so that will be pretty important here at some point.
You said we found an item on Mulderum, correct?
Correct, it was a piece of heart.
Yeah, very curious why Raikou is opting to check this, as it pretty much has to be the compass. Unless I missed it somewhere, then I'm completely mistaken. But
well, we'll find out in a moment either way.
Yeah, cleverly making use of a small minor glitch by standing on the crystal pegs as they are moving up. The game does not want to just outright kill you for being in an invalid location, so we'll just give you an infinite amount of iframes.
Indeed. The other glitch that Raikou could have used, because he's got the cape, yeah, it was just a 10 bomb upgrade. So ultimately there was an item there, but it turned out to be nothing. The other glitch that you can use, and we may see our runners do this at some point, is with the magic cape. If you activate the cape, you're standing against the wall, you activate the cape, and you grab onto the wall and pull back on the controller, facing away from the wall, you will remain invisible without draining your magic.
Yes, this game does not like when two actions are performed at the same time. And I don't even think that you have to pull on the wall. I think just holding it will suffice.
Yeah, did we mention that the game doesn't like when you do two actions at the same time?
Yeah, such as reading a sign and using the mirror while in the Dark World. Try that one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many little things in this game, like fake powder, the various item dashes that, you know, are just doing two things at the same time, and the game does some interesting things because of that.
Yeah, and that is why we love it so much. You know, obviously, flawlessly coded.
And I do see it in chat, and chat is correct. This is something that gets forgotten a lot. Can't do Spike Cave without the hammer.
Oh wow, yeah, we're almost a full hour into the seed and have yet to find the hammer, which is quite curious. The hammer does have the most dependencies within the logic, so seeing it elude us for this long is quite a rare occasion, as Raikou will be picking up both of his spent medallions. Wow.
Yes. We are seeing Kid go ahead and check Skull Woods, so first of the Value Woods checks here. We got the big key already, so that's fairly nice. Hopefully we'll get it for Kid. You get a key here, so you can just go ahead and skip the guaranteed key room. Nope, gonna get a big 50. So he'll be making a long trek around.
Instead, does find one of two items. Well, three technically, if our runners opt to. Oh no, they can't. They don't have the fire rod yet.
Nope.
Disregard everything I said. Only two items.
Everything you said, or just that one thing?
Wait, what have I said up to this point?
Yeah, this one room right here, in case you're wondering, always has a key in that chest, because otherwise it would be a soft lock situation if it had anything in there besides a key, because you can't get out without one.
Yes, it is. You are able to drop into that room, and the developers don't want to put you in a position where you can't progress, so they have left that as the only spot where the items are not randomized.
Indeed, there is technically a way around that, but yeah, it would require a save and quit to get out of the dungeon. Or using the mirror actually would also probably take you back to your initial start point. And if you, would that work, or is that?
If you drop down into that room, it will teleport you to the starting location where you dropped in from, so you end up in the same room.
Oh yeah, if you dropped into that room, but if you dropped in from another room and it ended up there, then getting the key out of there and mirroring back would kind of allow you to get around that.
Oh yeah, that is true. As we found out that Bombos is on is required for Turtle Rock. Of course, Raikou has yet to visit the Eastern Palace, so he does not have that Ether Medallion. So can't just assume that he has the medallion.
Indeed, and Raikou probably going through Hookshot Cave here, and I would imagine also going to go grab that half magic, because that'll be very, very useful for pretty much all the dungeons going forward here.
Ooh. Kid unfortunately getting knocked into the Wallmaster. Oh, that's going to be painful, especially without the Canis Samaria having to. Oh, gets
again, but thankfully, it just falls into the same room.
Yeah, it is not a huge setback, but it's just more annoying because, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter as much as the Gold Sword gets rid of the Gibdos pretty quick. But if you only have Master Sword, those Gibdos are like the final boss of this game.
That is very much true.
Raikou indeed picking up his half magic. Very nice data to have. Effectively doubles your magic capacity, contrary to what the magic bat would like you to believe. As in the original game, it's a little bit of a trickster, and due to some clever phrasing, implies that you only have half of your magic capacity, but instead makes every item use half of what they usually do.
I think Kid's gonna go ahead and check Ped here.
Yeah,
we'll
definitely
find out his count cash and move along.
Yeah, definitely one of the more opportune times while in the neighborhood. We'll probably not be coming back to this area until it is the last option for the green pendant.
Maybe not even that. Maybe if there's a fire rod somewhere around here, and you know, you got a chance. There's still a chance that there could be an item in that first chest. So they may not even have to fight Mothula to be able to get that second item out of Skullwoods.
Oh, that is true. There is one chest that is in the back part.
So I'll be very curious to see where they go next.
Yeah, Raikou is opting to follow in Kid's footsteps. He's going to check out the Skullwoods area. As Kid is going to make his way into the Dark World.
I would presume this is going to be going through and cleaning up the remaining items locations that are in the south west corner outside of Misery Mire.
Yes, we do still need to find the flute, which we will eventually, as Maya is a crystal. But being an hour in, what would our runners need to get into go mode?
Oh goodness. Well, let's see here. Yeah. Do we want to go off what would no mode be, or do we want to go off what each individual runner would need for go mode? Because it's a little bit different here. Combined, what they would need is the Candace Samaria. They would need the ice and fire rods, the hammer, and the flute, and the bow.
Yes, that is pretty much all that we need, as well as whatever medallions are required for Turtle Rock and Maya. Of course, having found all three, not such a big deal.
Yeah, it pretty much just means you're guaranteed to have access either way. Raikou will have to go back to Eastern Palace to get that ether, perhaps, unless it's not required. Which would be sad if it isn't required for Misery Mire, because that means no bird toss tonight.
Kid, meanwhile, picking up his silver arrows.
So as well, Stan, let's think about this. What options are left for them to make their next play? I think we've got, it looks like, probably Ice Palace, that first chest in Swamp, that's behind the bombable wall.
Yeah, that could still contain the hammer as well, which would be truly evil.
Mm-hmm.
As well as we have yet to check the shovel spot, which could also be a gatekeeper. As Kid is going to check what Gary's lunchbox has, as our runners will give each other a virtual high five on their way.
Right underneath the Welcome to the Village of Outcast sign. Nicely timed. So we'll probably see Kid go ahead here, do the usual checks. Grove Cave, aka K45. Go ahead and do the Stumpy check here. Stumpy.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Unfortunately, pressing A before mirroring does leave the chest behind, and due to the game not being able to keep track of everything, we'll move the chest back to its original position, so that will be lost, unfortunately.
Yeah, Kid's gonna have to go back and check it. Raikou will have a little bit of an easier time here as long as he doesn't do the same thing, because he's got the shovel already, so that means he'll be able to route in the Grove dig spot here, which is normally the flute.
Yes, which could still be vanilla.
And just a hero capacity upgrade from Stumpy. Stumpy, you've disappointed us once again.
I mean, at this point, are you really surprised? I believe I have seen a total of one time where Stumpy did have a required item.
Yeah, Stumpy sometimes does good things. And just a bomb upgrade there, unfortunately.
Only bomb shovel not turning out, so with that anticipation, Hype Cave was not very hype.
Wah, wah. So yeah, Raikou is going to go ahead and check out what's in the lunchbox. Kind of maybe starting to think there might be something in this lunchbox, actually.
Yeah, we are about to find out.
Raikou almost going over to check Bombos and almost forgetting he's already done the Bombos tablet.
Yeah, we did receive the boots, so Gary giving us a big 20 for giving him his lunch.
I think we'll probably see Kid get those boots really quick here. Usually once you do, if you haven't done Bombo's tablet, you have everything for it. Usually once you do the lunchbox, you just go ahead and do that. Oh, Raikou's going back to Desert Palace now that he's got the boots. Not necessarily a bad call.
Yeah, I believe it was boots locked. So that will open up a couple more locations for Raikou. Kid receiving his big 20 will be heading back into the Dark World to most likely check the most medallion for his boots, as you mentioned. We'll be quite happy to find those.
Yes, indeed. You can get those boots real quick here. And Big Key hanging out here on the torch. Means you just have to go right around the corner. Go ahead and open up that chest.
Only a big 20. I'm starting to see a pattern.
Yeah, kind of starting to see one there. And so Raikou is going to go ahead and bounce out of Desert Palace because there's one item left in there. It's the compass. So can't be anything else. Now Kid's going to go ahead and start doing some of the desert checks here. The Agina Cave check that usually comes either very early or very late in the game.
Yeah, one of the more annoying to route locations, as it is quite far out of the way. They're very similar in with the Ice Rock Cave. Runners usually either checking it right away with their Southern Shore loop, or waiting until they get either boots or the flute.
And Raikou going into Eastern Palace, not going to be able to clear it completely because he will be lacking the bow still, but we will get that Ether medallion, so he'll be full up on medallions as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be glad to have that peace of mind that he won't be hunting for a medallion.
We'll be very curious to see what does Kid do next here. Not many options available for dungeons. We've got Ice Palace, possibly Ice Palace. Might be the play here. Oh, he's gonna do Hype Cave. He hasn't done Hype Cave yet.
Kid has yet to check Hype Cave.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking ahead of the step here. So we'll get the shovel, so I'll probably go check shovel right after this, I would assume. Big spot.
Yeah, after that, I believe, well, Ice Palace is pretty much the only location left, and that first chest in Swamp.
Mm-hmm. You could do first chest in Swamp. That would be a fairly quick check, based on where they're at. And then, I mean, Kid could very easily go and do that. He may in fact go do that right now, actually.
Yeah. Also, speaking of out of the way locations, we also have yet to see the Lake of Ill Omen with the catfish.
I was about to say you were going to say catfish. Now, that's actually an interesting point. I did call a race earlier this week where catfish had the Kigo mode item, and it was the determining factor in the race.
Wow.
So, yeah, it could absolutely be the case again. Catfish very hard to route in because he is all the way off in a corner, and unless you grab him when you're going to do Zora, or you get the mushroom and have to go to the potion hut to turn it in, it's just one that can really easily slip your mind, and it could very much be a location that's got a progression item.
Yeah, only time will tell as Kid is going to scratch one location off the card. We're interested to see whether or not he can continue in this dungeon.
Okay, we're about to find out. Nope.
No, unfortunately, Big Key not opening up anything.
Oh, keeps forgetting about those keys, but Kid can't progress anyways because we talked about it a little bit earlier with the Igors and the bow. There's another little programmed point in here for progression that's required. You have to have the hammer to be able to go in and start doing Swamp Palace because of those little mole blocks there that are blocking the lever that you need to flip to get the water to rise.
Yeah, thankfully Kid, remembering on time that he needs the hammer for that, will be noping right on L. And with that will be... no. Never mind.
I just need to check the dig location.
Ah, yes. Although not what we are looking for, unfortunately.
Nope.
Raikou is going back into the Dark World using the Aghanim portal. Is most likely going to check the catfish.
I think that would be the intended call here, as far as where Raikou is going.
Wow, still no hammer.
Yeah, that's really going to be, I think, hammer or bow is really going to be the thing that opens us up a little bit here, because bow's going to give you some progression, at least through Eastern Palace. Hammer would give you progression through Swamp Palace, as well as a couple of other overworld locations to check. Actually, King's Tomb.
Did we see this one?
We did not. It's a mushroom.
Well,
so that's actually great find for Raiko, actually, because he'll be able to go ahead, go back to the Dark World here, jump back into the... We'll see if he'll do it. Jump back in across, mirror into... Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to see. You're going to see him go swim across, go up, warp to the Light World, do the potion shop, and then go back to the Dark World and do Catfish.
Yeah, a very aware play indeed.
Very, very nice routing here.
Yeah, rarely do you get to make such efficient use of the catfish check. Oh, unfortunately, spamming the item button. It was going to put on a light show for the witch. Does cut up the buzz blob, though it is right back when the screen has been reloaded.
Oh!
The hammer!
Oh my goodness, the hammer!
Oh my, wow.
Wow.
1 hour 12, and only now do we find the hammer. Holy
heck.
my marbles.
What, like I said before, what is this seed?
This is, oh my goodness.
This seed is a scavenger hunt. This is not a random race, it's a scavenger hunt through Hyrule.
I mean, I like it. I like it. And with that hammer, it does look like Raikou is going to make immediate use of it, going into the Swamp Palace. 6 items to find, definitely not a bad choice. Thankfully, with that hook shot, being able to immediately full clear.
So the other good thing too is that the hammer is going to be required for Ice Palace, so that will also give our runners another item they need to start moving toward Ice Palace progress.
Yes, there is a single mole, like literally as the last obstacle before you can reach the boss.
It's kind of a trolley thing, but I think again it's one of those intended placements to kind of shepherd the player along to do progression in the right order in the vanilla version. Yeah,
although going into Ice Palace without the hammer and then getting to there and realizing that you don't have the hammer is one of the more painful experiences. As Ice Palace can be quite tricky to route depending on your item layout, as Kid will be receiving his mushroom, Raikou, on his first trip.
So I'm kind of curious here. Is Kid going to go check Catfish after getting the hammer, or will Kid immediately go back into Swamp Palace? Because we did see Raikou go ahead and save him quick, go back and go into Swamp Palace here right away.
Oh, that is true. Raikou did take the hammer and ran with it.
I feel like that's probably just a gamble that Catfish doesn't have anything. If Catfish does have something, that's obviously not the right play. If Catfish doesn't, then that probably pretty good play, because that's that hammer is going to open up all of Swamp Palace for you with the hook shot too. So
yeah, and with Kid not having his Dark World portal with him, it's going to warrant a save and quit, and it's probably going to go and either continue the Swamp Palace or take a dive into ice.
indeed. So yeah, Kid's probably just gonna go ahead. I would assume go back into Swamp Palace here.
Yeah, Swamp Palace definitely the more item dense dungeon. Definitely
of course,
not a bad choice.
No, definitely not a bad choice. Of course, because we're still looking for items at this point. We're going to see a full clear. No real reason to try and skip anything. It's very likely that something could be hiding on the left side or somewhere else within Swamp Palace, because it is a 6-item dungeon. So you want to make sure that you get all those chests open if you're still looking for stuff. And I like what chat's thinking here. I'm kind of thinking the same thing a little bit. If Catfish does have an item and both these runners just keep going through and they're still missing that one go mode item, it almost becomes a race back to who goes and checks Catfish first.
Ooh, that would indeed be quite interesting. A lot of items can be on the Catfish that would gatekeep this seed. Of course, one is the more direct progression in terms of perhaps the flute and bow, but also the more trolleys, such as the ice rod.
Yeah, Raikou's gonna have to flip that switch again. Oh, he's went ahead and walked through it, I guess. But yeah, I thought he was trying to trap that spike trap. Guess he trapped in the right way.
Yeah, thankfully Raikou did not flood the Smoky, which can happen
very easily. I have only done that once in all of my rando runs, but I feel really bad about it because I did it in a practice run like 3 months in, and I was like, well, I will never do that again.
Yeah, definitely one of the mistakes you are not supposed to make more than once. And I say supposed because I've got some experience.
That's all right. We all make mistakes.
It's more than just the muscle memory of going into that room. RaikouRider, wow. Raikou checking the left side, 2 items only. Finds the single arrow, but not what we are looking for.
Yeah, single arrow and compass is not going to be a whole lot of progression, sadly. Kid's going to go ahead and check the big chest right away. You can get that riot shield.
That is considered progression by the seed if we get the Kidofseph, as the only location that the mirror shield opens is the laser bridge, which has 4 items.
Indeed, laser bridge.
I mean, bow on laser bridge, the dream.
Could be bow on laser bridge without the fire rod. Without look, we'd have to have the fire rod to be able to do the one room on the right in Turtle Rock, but they could be looking for ice rod for quite a while.
Yeah, again, Ice Rod's only requirement being the Trinex boss fight. Other than that, it is pretty useless throughout the game.
Yeah, literally pretty much the only thing it does in the NMG vanilla run is for Trinex. You're not going to really need it for anything else. In fact, it probably doesn't have a whole lot of use. There's the cane.
Oh, that is wow, that laser bridge is looking very likely at this point.
Kidofseph, so that will that should, at least when they have the flute, they'll have access to be able to complete Misery Mire. Still looking for the flute for that.
Oh yes, Laser Bridge was already within logic due to having the cape, but
Correct.
Receiving items that point towards a certain location is could definitely be seen as an indication for where the seed wants you to go.
Could definitely still be seen as kind of cape was like your first warning, hey, go to Laser Bridge, and now Mirror Shield just like, hey, go to Laser Bridge, dummy.
Go to Laser Bridge. You don't want to miss it. Amazing ride. The ride of your life. And
only a bomb upgrade there on Argus. Very easy fight with the gold sword there, making very quick little work of the puffballs, and then not a whole lot of problem with Argus himself. So phase 2 went very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. All of the Argyle only taking 1 hit, as well as Argus taking 2 slashes. Of course, the game does not intend you to have such an overpowered setup, but thankfully this is randomized, so
Indeed.
We get to have a little bit of fun.
We get to have nice things every once in a while. And Raiko is going to go ahead and go to the Light World and do Ice Palace. So we'll get to see that IP play.
Yeah, talking of nice things, we're not going to see it here. We're going to do Ice Palace instead. One of the more annoying dungeons throughout. But luckily, having the cane as well as hookshot and bombos will make this quite an easy check. Of course, due to the absence of a fire rod, will be required to use bombos, but that is entirely within logic.
Yes, it is. Both for the entrance room there, which requires you to kill that Freezor, and for melting out Cold Stairs ice shell, which protects him in the first phase of the fight. Even though the game intends you to have Fire Rod by the time you come here anyways. At least the vanilla version, I should say.
Yes.
I always forget that I have to be specific about whether it's vanilla or rando I'm talking about.
Yeah, at this point we do have 2 versions of the game, randomized and just the standard. Of course, both are still amazing versions. We just prefer the one over the other.
I would say try them both and see which one you like better. Can't go wrong either way. Either way, Kid is going to be finishing up Argus there. Nicely done. Very simple, very clean fight. Well, Raiko making his way through Ice Palace here. About to enter one of the trilliest rooms in the entire dungeon. Mostly because of the floor being a moving treadmill.
Yeah, indeed, very easy to lose a couple of hearts, as we will see Raiko performing the Ice Palace bomb jump, who unfortunately, not accounting for the extra width of the butter sword, does get it on his second tries. So well done to Raiko.
Just a little bit short there, being able to do the grab, but get to the second time.
Meanwhile, Kid making the same play as it is pretty much the last play to be made.
So I would assume, Stan, I don't know if you think the same thing I do at this point. There's got to be some kind of progression here in Ice Palace.
I mean, pretty much.
Unless it's on Catfish.
Yeah. If not Ice Palace, then it has to be Catfish. But we do still have a couple of chests to check here. Ah.
Nah, just a single rupee.
Value green rupee.
Yeah. Fortunately, we don't have the big key, so we can't do a big key check. Raiko going ahead, dropping down. Oh, he's gonna go up and around. It looks like, I think, just setting up the block there for being able to do that later.
Yes, also due to the bomb jump moving the red crystal packs up, so
Mm-hmm.
it will be making his way into the back of the dungeon. The most studious anti-fairy always seems to just know where you're going.
Indeed, the slippery
Oh god.
slippery room here, an iced tea room, aka a room with a nickname that. Oh, there's the bow.
Oh, that is an amazing find.
Iced tea room, very much being kind tonight. I was about to say the room has kind of a not family friendly nickname in the community as well, which I will not repeat.
Please don't.
I won't.
Yeah, Kid instead opting to forgo the bomb jump. Now, having the game of Samaria, that is not such a big deal, as you can substitute a block with a block with. Wait, you can substitute the intended block with the Samaria block. Wow.
There we go. I was about to say it if you were like gonna trip over it a little bit more, but you got it. So that's important. Yeah, you can just go ahead and throw down a Samaria block there. It does the same effect. Raiko going ahead and just going on to Coltzer here. Use that bombos to get that ice shell away from Coltzer's little eyeball. And now we'll see if you can wrangle all three of them into the corner. Yes! Oh, very nicely done. Very nicely done.
That was indeed an extremely fast fight for another bottle, this time filled with a magic potion.
Yeah, I think Raiko making a bit of a gamble there, expecting perhaps that the third item was on Coltzer, and guessing correctly.
Yeah, the big key being completely unrequired for Raiko's walkthrough. Meanwhile, Kid will be picking up his bow.
Very interested to see what Kid decides to do now. With Raiko going ahead and skipping the remaining chests in the dungeon, just going to Coltzer and finding that third item. Super interesting to see if Kid goes through here. I think, yeah, this is indeed what's going to happen, which unfortunately is going to be a bit of a time loss because there's nothing back here.
Indeed, Raiko will go ahead and finish off the Palace of Darkness. Having acquired the bow does make it clearable, and seeing as it is a crystals, you might as well just go ahead and do it sooner rather than later.
It's probably going to be to be more specific, probably a pod into Eastern Palace double play here.
Oh yeah, and I also noticed with that, Ice Palace was a vanilla 5 crystal, and today Eastern is also one of it's crystal number 6, which does open up the Cursed Ferry.
That is indeed the thing I think we'll see here. Probably pod and the EP back to Dark World. Go check out the Pyramid Ferry, maybe, if progression is still needed.
Fire of Ice Rod would be pretty hype.
Could also still find, even after that, maybe a catfish check. The Silver Arrow is doing a whole lot of work there in that room with the Nagurias. There'll be a similar room up here that Raiko is going to go through.
Ooh, finding the big key on the Bolok side.
So yeah, I would say definitely small time advantage at least right now for Raiko, having gone ahead and skipped all those other chests.
Ooh, Raiko making excellent use of his items. Meanwhile, Kid will be heading into the Kidofseph fight.
Yeah, definitely a little bit behind, but not like catastrophically too far behind. Just a little bit. Most of the time lost here is just going to be from that check of those remaining chests.
Yeah, definitely not an insurmountable time loss. as we still have quite a lot of dungeons to go through.
It's true.
To reach that Ganon's Tower.
We still got Eastern Palace, Palace of Darkness, Misery Mire, and Turtle Rock to go through. But it's just going to be about an hour and 30 in here, so fairly slow seed, all things considered. Maybe it'll start to pick up here, and we'll start to get some Go Mode dungeon clears. But probably a pretty good time to remind everybody. Go ahead and follow our runners, both Kid and Raiko. Put on a great show for you guys tonight, so be sure to bop that follow button for both of them. As Raiko going through the dark rooms and into the Helmasaur fight, gonna use the sword held out trick for the hammer to keep the bounce back at bay. Unfortunately, gonna get a little bit of bad RNG here with that fireball. So cool little feat thing. You just saw that second little chunk pop off the helmet. When you do, you get that when you've got 17. When you've got half of the helmet, 17 hammer swings that you need to go ahead and break that mask off. So it pops off at 9. Just a nice little visual indicator to know how many more swings you have left to go.
Yeah, indeed, very helpful to know as due to the fact the way the game is coded, when the helmet pops up, it will shatter and turn into a lot of different sprites. Now, if Helmasaur has used the fireball attack, the game kind of gets overloaded with sprites. So if you
it cancels it out. Yeah.
Any eyeballs, I was going to say, any fireballs on screen will be immediately deleted.
Very nice to see. It's a very nice little trick. You can even hold off on that if you think you're going to get a fireball, and just hit that 17th one right as soon as that happens. But you got to have some pretty good timing on that, because if you're a little bit late on it, the fireballs will still come out.
Yes, and when that kid is going to finish the Palace of Darkness as well, meanwhile Raikou making his way to the Eastern Palace with the silver arrows again, going to be just a quick conversation with the Almost Knights.
Don't blink. Do not blink or you will miss this fight. Yeah, Kid is still right behind Raiko, just kind of following in his footsteps at this moment. So certainly still anybody's race, especially with the fact that we're still missing a couple of items here in the flute, the fire rod, and the ice rod. Though I'm starting to think we might be getting a progression item here from Armos Knights.
Yeah, again, pretty much coming down to one of the last location that our runners can check. Very interesting indeed if Armos Knight does have our progression. Ooh, Raiko shooting the first arrow a little bit too soon.
Ooh, he's still got this. Yeah, this will be fine.
Yeah, but nonetheless, for silver arrows,
only
a bundle of 10. Not what we are looking for.
No, but we will be able to get a Pyramid Fairy check. Don't be shocked if it's a fire rod in there. And that means they have to dip back into Skull Woods for that second item, or maybe even for the green pendant.
Yeah, although the fire rod does unlock a couple of chests within Turtle Rock as well. But of course, our runners would rather not go into Turtle Rock without having both of the rods. As Turtle Rock is one of the more lengthy dungeons to get to.
Yeah, the nightmare scenario is doing that, making the gamble that ice rods and TR, and then finding out that you were very, very wrong, and you have to go back and do the whole thing over again.
Yeah, definitely having ice rod as your potential go item is always a scary prospect.
In part because it's since it's only required for TR, it can be pretty much just about anywhere in the dungeon, anywhere except for being on Trinex.
Yes, Kid momentarily into the Helmetified as Raikou is going to purchase the Big Bomb. Going to take it all the way up to the Pyramid of Power. Can make use of his Aghanim portal, which would make this check a little bit quicker. Fortunately, it has been quite some time since we had to use that portal, so looks like he did forget that he has it open as Kit finishes it off the Helmets King with a single silver arrow.
I think he gets big 20. Don't spend it all in one place, kid.
Make efficient use.
All right. Now we get to
Fairy.
see what's in the fairy fountain.
Oh. Come on, Raikou.
It's the flute. Oh.
Lots of blue, but definitely a required item to find, and that also opens up quite a lot of item locations, both in and around Maya.
Indeed. So even though Kid's behind, there is a possibility that certainly could throw him well into the lead if the items are located in a certain order, which would be that Fire Rod is in Misery Mire, which could certainly be the case. The question would be then, where does Raikou go? Does Raikou decide that he wants to take the gamble for it to be in Turtle Rock, or that he's going to go back and finish up Skull Woods, get that green pendant, maybe check that last chest? Because if he decides Turtle Rock and it's wrong in the play as Skull Woods, that could certainly be a point at which Kid could make it up if he goes to Skull Woods first.
Oh, that is very true. We do have yet to check what the green pendant holds for us, as Raikou will be activating his flute. Most likely will be immediately going to the Misery Mire area, check out what medallion we need, as well as get all the items in that area.
Indeed, yeah. Misery Mire is definitely the play right now. But the question will be, if the Fire Rod shows up in Misery Mire and we're still looking for that Ice Rod, what's the next play? Where do we go? And where do we make the gamble? Of course, the real trolley thing could be that the Ice Rod could show up here, and Fire Rod is hanging out in Turtle Rock then, or on Catfish. Spagnet and bombs. So we'll also get a check probably of Checkerboard Cave here, I would assume. Maybe not. I think, interesting that Raikou's not doing that. So
unfortunately, no Bertos for us today.
That's a shame.
Always love to see those.
I do love me a bird toss.
Yeah, back when I was but a little one, I used to carry the bird into the dungeon. I thought that was cool, but apparently not.
No, you find out that other people do it too. So
yeah, I'm at least not the only one. But with that, Raikou is in the pretty much most populated room in the game. A lot of enemies to kill to get through here. Kid, meanwhile, making his way to the Armor's Knights with these silver arrows again. Not going to be any trouble whatsoever.
Should be fairly quick. Super easy, gonna get those 10.
There we go, beautiful fight. As Raikou is going to check the very first chest. We don't have the so-called Goldmire today, where the big key is on that bridge. Only a small
so I guess we might see a Checkerboard Cave next if one of the if both the items in here aren't the rods, then we'll probably see a Checkerboard Cave check after this dungeon. because Raikou has not done that yet, and it would be very weird if he had completely ignored that while being here in Misery Mire.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to leave single item locations out, as they might be pushed to the back of your mind, and if you forget one of them, that could spell your doom.
Yeah, especially single item locations that are a pain to get to. Not just like Ice Rod and Nagina's Cave, but Checkerboard Cave, Catfish, Ether Tablet, Mamos Tablet. These ones that are kind of require multiple steps and multiple items to get to, or are just kind of like not really easily routable within the usual pathing. You want to make sure that you don't leave one of those open, because if you're missing an item, 9 times out of 10, it's usually one of those locations you could have got a while ago if you had just remembered.
Yeah, exactly something that you would want to avoid. Kid, unfortunately, hopping down from the ledge, which will leave the bomb behind. And now that can be used to perform another minor glitch, where if screen transitions on the same time that the bomb explodes, again, 2 things at once, the game will get confused and just give you the bomb back once you transition the screen. Which would be a neat little trick. Raikou, meanwhile, on his way to the big key chest. Oh, gets the big key here instead.
Which is fine, but we're still looking for items, so we're going to get that vanilla big key chest check in, vanilla big key location check anyways.
Yeah, another tedious section of the game. Now, without the fire rod, can't do the block clip with the fire rod, so we'll have to do the block push puzzle in order to get all the torches lit.
Again, something about doing 2 actions at the same time, the game gets confused and lets you do weird things. I feel like we've mentioned this a couple of times before.
Yeah, it's kind of a running theme, really.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're pushing a block, you can use the fire rod through it.
Yeah, as we get the awfully long cutscene. Although not as long as you might think, it is actually the exact same length as the Palace of Darkness. The only difference is pure psychological, as you cannot see it move, so the anticipation is making it seem a lot longer.
Oh, that was not a good find for Raikou. Found a bottle, which is nice. Fairy bottle is nice. It is not a rod, and that means our journey for the fire and ice rods will continue.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it's a fairy capable of magic, but unfortunately, we only have life restoring fairies in the world of Hyrule, as Raikou will be making his way to the big chest. Meanwhile, Kid most likely following closely behind, activating his flute.
I do wonder if Kid's going to go ahead and check Checkerboard Cave before diving into Mire here. We might see a little bit of a divergence with that. I believe we're looking at an item on Vitreous. I don't think we found that second item yet.
No, I don't recall seeing that.
And yeah, Spike Cave would be open now that they have the hammer, so that's again another possible location for them to check.
Ooh, definitely. Oh, I missed the bug net in the mine shed. That's something.
Yeah, Spagnet. So we'll see. We'll get to see Seth open up Mire here. Unfortunately, once again, no bird toss tonight. We did not get the pterodactyl to follow us.
Yeah, although it does waste a little bit of time. It is a neat little time waster that chat would agree with. Raikou, meanwhile, making his way down to the basement, putting that Kidofseph Mario to use, and we'll be into the Vitreous fight shortly. with silver arrows. Doubt that there's going to be any trouble for Raikou, seeing how he's handled the all of the other bosses.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a really nice strat that I saw the other night. If you have the gold sword, you can just go ahead, and if you have the Cane of Burnout and you stand in there, and swing at them. If you get those little eyes all grouped together like that, it's actually a little bit faster with both the little burnout damage and the sword swings than doing even the arrows.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's very interesting. We were discussing this in a previous run as well. So it's super, super interesting to see. But it's one of those things that requires you to have both of those items. Otherwise, you can't do it that way.
Yeah, of course. Unintended things happening with unintended equipment, as the gold sword is not supposed to be obtainable until you beat Maya in the normal game.
Mm-hmm. And indeed, checkerboard cave check, I think, from Raikou.
Maybe getting rid of the Murder-Dactyl, perhaps. As we do see Kid picking up a more rarely seen Smoky, but very nice game knowledge to put that to use.
Yeah, you don't usually see that too often, actually. And you're indeed seeing checkerboard cave from Raikou. You usually don't see people go back there. They kind of will gamble that you need to go out front for something. And it's just a big 20, so nope. You're still on the hunt.
That is, I mean, even with all the money in the world, you can't buy an ice rod.
I say the other thing he did too is he flipped that crystal switch. So now he's got access to all of these things, all of these items. You can check this item right now. That's up here underneath the switch. Doesn't have to worry about going ahead and flipping that switch in the next room when he gets there. You can go ahead and just do this right now.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah, indeed. As you said, Stan, very nice little bit of knowledge to remember that crystal switch is back there.
Yeah, I mostly like the room because it has a little fishy skeleton in there. I always thought that was pretty cool that the developers made that. Kid, meanwhile, will be getting his big key. Will be handing on down as Raikou is going back for that big chest. Mm-hmm. Having received the hammer, does open up the final location, and I believe there is still an item left.
I think that's correct.
The fact that Raikou is going in here, in fact.
We are kind of waiting for that fire rod, perhaps, or maybe the ice rod shows up here. And that would mean just go to Turtle Rock and find the fire rod probably hiding out there, or one of the locations, the single item locations. And yeah, both rods can be inside of Turtle Rock. You could have, for example, a well, how would that be set up? I think you'd have to have. Gosh, I'm even trying to think of the logic where the items would be placed inside of Turtle Rock for that to happen. Because I know it's possible, but I'm just trying to think about it. I guess you'd have to have the right side room that normally is unlocked with the torches be a total skip. It would have to be perhaps hiding out in the chain chomp chest.
I believe if both of the dungeon items are in that right chest, I believe that the rods can be pretty much anywhere within Turtle Rock. Yeah. But we're about to find out. No, only bombs.
Not worth. Unfortunately.
Thickens.
Well, I think we're going to get a little bit of a world tour here. Yeah, hammer pegs. We haven't seen hammer pegs yet.
Oh, that is true. Wow, getting hammered this late really, really can throw you for a loop, or at least me.
One of the other items we're still missing here is the powder, for a possibility of having a rod and powder bat.
Oh, that is true. We did expend the mushroom earlier to get the hammer.
There's the ice
To find
rod.
the ice rod.
Hello, friend.
We've been looking for you for about 2 hours almost. Now, we can question him about his brother, but I doubt that he'll give us any concrete answer to follow. As Kid will be making his way into the Virtuous fight. Interesting to see what strats we're going to see. Most likely Silvers.
Yeah, I think it's probably the easiest based on what you've got. So yeah, Raikou's going to go ahead and I guess make the assumption here that Fire Rod is in Turtle Rock. Not a bad assumption to make. Not 100% certain that could be the case. It could be hiding one of those other outside locations, but not necessarily a terrible idea to go ahead and make this play since you got that one item that you're looking for.
Yeah, that is true. There are 7 locations, not 7, 6 locations in Turtle Rock, including the Mimic Cave where the fire rod can be, as well as Spike Cave. Which
I think we're gonna see a Spike Cave check actually first.
Does look like it.
Not a bad idea either. You know, it's on the way. Go do it. Get that cleared out of the way.
Yeah, again with that hammer, that does come into logic. Raikou thankfully checked the cardinal bushes for a lucky fairy drop. Did manage to catch it and put it in a bottle, so he does have 2 fairies left. Which...
It's only the lovely big 20. He's gonna walk out here.
Wow, you rarely see the walk back out of Spike Cave.
Because usually you're leaving Death Mountain when you go to check it.
Yeah, it's usually one of the last locations to be checked.
Indeed, and I think the best gamble at this point would be to go into Turtle Rock, either because you find the fire rod in there and you're automatically in go mode. You're in the dungeon you have go mode for. It's the last one you need to get the last crystal, and you can just go to Ganon's tower, or more likely than not, one of those chests in TR is going to have a progression item. Be it the powder, which I think in this case it would just have to be the powder, and that would tell you where to go next.
Yes, pretty much one item location is unlocked.
Which also could be that it's also a troll, and you have the other catfish.
Oh yeah, we still have yet to check catfish. Kid meanwhile picking up his ice rod, very happy to find that. Raikou, oh no. Bye.
Come back! Come back!
The fairy was like, I'm free!
And Kid's gonna go ahead, and he's now on Death Mountain here, so you'd be curious if we're gonna see a check here, or if we're gonna see Kid's gonna be going up and checking Spike Cave as well, I assume. So they are still, Raikou's still got a lead here. But they're one after the other here. Both have 6 crystals. Both are one item away from go mode. Both are gonna be dipping into Turtle Rock here at the same time. So,
oh yeah, this is
very interesting.
Now, turned out to be a very close seed. Even with our timer reaching, getting close to that 2-hour mark.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a 2-hour plus seed. Kid hasn't checked the ether tail yet. We know it's nothing. We know it's not what he's looking for, but still probably gonna go ahead and check that.
Yeah, money unfortunately not gonna...
Oh, actually he hasn't checked Tower of Hera either.
Oh, that is true, and with that, it does look like the fire rod pretty much has to be and catfish, as we did find an item in that first chest, which otherwise would have to be a smoky.
Yeah, I guess if you're either runner right now and you're just kind of thinking, you're probably kicking yourself that you didn't go do that earlier.
Yeah, noping
once you find that out.
After getting the hammer from the mushroom, not the best idea. We'll be making use of his second trip here by getting some more potions, knowing that he will be in go mode. Kiddo making his way through the Tower of Hera, making use of the pots to instantly kill the Hana beetles.
I also would like to take this moment just to apologize to chat for the commentator curse on Catfish having a Go mode item that was needed. I did say that about an hour and a half ago, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, we may or may not have had spiritual influence.
Technically not, because the seeds are automatically generated ahead of time, but still.
Yeah, it was already set in stone, so it was destined to be. We just oh, he missed the or didn't throw in the item.
Hey, there you are.
Raikou is in Go mode.
Indeed, Go mode at 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 12 seconds. So a very, very late Go mode, but only one dungeon left to complete. Ganon's Tower and the Ganon fight, so it's going to be very, 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 very well equipped to get through these dungeons very quickly.
Oh, definitely. More than a full row of hearts, as well as red knuckled sword, silver arrows, pretty much the entire kit here available to both of our runners. Kiddo also going back for the basement item is going to lose a little bit of time doing this. Of course, we have the power of having two screens to watch, so while we know where the correct play is, our runners are kept in complete exclusion from each other as to make these races as fair as possible. Raikou getting trolled by the dead rocks a little bit.
Bo is in the Ice tea room in Ice Palace.
Yes, the one chest nobody wants to go to, that everybody had to go to in this seed. And with that, Raikou is in Turtle Rock. Will be finishing it up shortly. Does have to go to the right side. As we already had seen, the first item.
Yeah, at this point, Raikou's got a fairly comfortable lead, but still, you've got to get through Turtle Rock, Ganon's Tower. There is plenty of tilting time left for either runner.
That is true, although we might be looking at a sub 120 still, depending on different routing choices, how well our runners are at executing, as well as that big key location, which I will go into more depth in a moment.
Yeah, it's almost time for everyone's favorite thing, but not quite yet.
Yeah, we still have to find the Turtle Rock big key. I just want to say a couple more small keys.
Could be here, because we have a key going in here. It's gonna be a map instead, but with that one key going into the chain chomp room, is always an possibility that a non-key item could be in that chest. And Kid's about to find out that he's gonna have to leave the dungeon to be able to find that fire rod.
Yeah, RaikouRider going to check the vanilla big key location. And you see another Squirtle squad.
Cool one with the glasses. Oh, Kid's actually gonna go check Spike Cave, I think. I don't think he's checked Spike Cave yet, so he's gonna check Spike Cave first, and then go ahead and do Catfish, which is not a bad idea, but
yeah, for all Kid knows, the ice rod Well, the fire rod could be in air. Now, with that, Raikou did manage to find the big key in its vanilla spot. We'll be moving further into the dungeon. Now, at this point, having, well, pretty much every single safety besides powder, doubt that we are going to see the Mimic Cave today.
Probably not. I think it's probably a skip here from both runners.
Yeah, the only item that our runners could possibly be looking for could be the powder. But other than that, they pretty much have everything they need. Kid making his way. Ooh. Oh, thankfully, the flippers will be able to. Oh no, you can't. There's a waterfall blocking. Unfortunately, it has to go back around to get to the Lake of Ill Omen. Unfortunately, Raikou, meanwhile, in the Sumaria Maze room.
Right, so we're gonna go see Seth make the play over to check Catfish here. Yeah, this is what he needs to do.
Raikou making use of his mirror shield. Gets his smoky. Oh. Will be making his way towards the Trinex fight. Both rods in hand, thankfully.
And this will be a very interesting, probably very quick fight.
Definitely.
Given that we've got gold swords, so.
Yeah, and with that, Kid is now officially also in go mode.
At 2 hours, 1 minute, and 44 seconds. So.
Yeah, about 2 to 3 minutes, if I recall, separating these two runners.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite a bit more now. It's gonna be about closer to 6 or 7 minutes.
Ooh, unfortunately, not switching to the fire rod earlier, the game does not allow you to open the item menu when an explosion is happening due to the fact that there would be too many sprites on screen that would create complications. Again, two things at once, too much.
I just thought it was, it didn't want you to be a cool dude and look away from the explosion.
Squirtle does have glasses to do so. But with that, Raikou is receiving his last crystal now. I did allude to this earlier, but I think it is time. There are 22 locations within Ganon's Tower. Only one contains the big key. Get your guesses in chat. And Nihon, where do you think it's going to be for today?
Well, I already popped in the chat. I have a lucky number I always like to play, so I'm going to say 12. Usually that puts it in the rando room, which is a space I like to see as a commentator. I always like to see that because it's a little bit of fun. But as a runner, you always want to see it be in that spot number 1.
That is true. And akin to the randomizer, I always generate a random number, and today is generous. It's going to be 1. So we're hoping for the gold tower.
You're hoping for the best luck, yes.
Yeah, big key, small key in that order, right side. Immediately being able to leave everything behind.
And here we go. Nope, not gonna be 1, unfortunately.
Nope.
2.
Oh, it
could have been 1. It could have been 1 if you picked the right side.
I'm gonna cheat on that one and say that was 1. Nah.
Yeah, close enough.
Wow, that was
You had a
a
50-50
very
shot.
quick one.
But Raikou, of course, going to the left side to pick up a key. Be able to go up against tower. You need at least one key to be able to do that. A lot of runners would like to have two, but it's not necessary. You'll get that second key once you get through the gauntlet. So just kind of a matter of if you can carry two keys with you, go for it. It saves you a little bit of time in once you get through gauntlet. If not, don't worry about it. You just need to have one.
Yeah, there will be enough smoky pickups from enemies as you progress through the higher layers of the tower.
We're about to see Raikou enter the gauntlets, so to speak.
Yeah, a series of rooms riddled with enemies and traps. Of course, with all of the equipment, not going to be any issue. Raikou using the iframes from the pitfall to dash right across will be into set gauntlet.
Gonna be using the fire rod here to deal with some of the enemies and going and using sword slashes on the other ones. A little tricky in here. It's mostly a combination of the BMOS and, more importantly, the treadmills make it a little bit difficult to get everything lined up.
Yeah, BMOs on treadmills are never fun.
No, but I hear if you do that in real life, it makes you run a little bit faster.
That is true.
Improves training performance.
Although our runners did get the Pegasus boots, so will it improve very much? That's the real question. Either way, Raikou into the Lanmola's refight. Wow, words are just escaping me today.
Yeah, it's alright. All of the slowdown too from the Medusa. It's firing off the fireballs there. The explosions, the little particles that are showing up from the Lambolas when they emerge, the particles from the silver arrows. That room can get super, super laggy.
Yeah, definitely one of
the fun rooms with the Wizrobe there and the Cane of Samaria. Go ahead, place a block, break it. They're all dead.
Ooh, unfortunately misses the slash there. Still nicely done getting the first three. Kid, meanwhile, on his way to Trinex. Will he pick it up? His last crystal. After just a couple more chests.
So here's a place where, if something happens here, if we get a Spondy Sprite, which is not very likely, but could always be a possibility, and Raikou's safe. Okay, so if there was a Sprite despawn there, that could have been really trouble for Raikou, because he would have had to quit out and go back and do GT all over again, or at least the gauntlet climb. But thankfully, didn't run into that situation.
Yeah, definitely one of the more unfortunate things to happen. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Two things at once. If the door happens to close, the moment you transition to the next room or transition upstairs, the game will get a little confused and simply remove all of the sprites, which also gets rid of Aghanim.
Yeah, something about game doesn't like two things happening at once.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we mentioned that, but yeah, that's the thing. Meanwhile, Raikou into the Aghanim 2 fight. Aghanim splitting himself up into 3 parts, 2 phantoms, 1 real. Again, same as the first one, the real Aghanim has a 50-50 chance after the first one to shoot a blue ball, but the ghosts will always shoot an energy ball, which is at least a nice consolidation to as opposed to the first fight.
How does the game feel about 3 things at once? I think it likes it even less than 2 things at once.
Yeah, if you happen to reflect all 3 energy balls into Agnem at the same time, it will only count once. As the hits have to be consecutive. And with that, Raikou is into the Ganon fight shortly, as the bird crash, or the bat crashes into the pyramid.
Mm-hmm. And indeed, of course, one of the ultimate questions: How did the duck get there? Nobody knows. And we're getting some Landslug facts. Nice to see those back.
Yeah, very interesting. I was going to go for something, but never mind that. We have more important matters, as Raikou has to be careful, down to 1 heart. Does still have the double bottle fairies.
Mm-hmm.
So should be okay here, especially with the gold sword being right into the second phase, or the teleport phase.
Mm-hmm. The troll phase.
Wow, Ganon, stop.
Ganon, please.
Oh, goodness.
Alright, now he's playing nice. I just had to get those teleports out of the system, I think. Did you find the arrows in the Dark World? Sure did. You didn't hide them very well.
Yes, definitely have to hire someone who's better at hiding. Ooh, unfortunately, shooting a bit too low. Meanwhile, Kid finishing off Trinex, receiving his final crystal, will be heading the Ganon's Tower. As we get another chance for a #1 big key.
And Raikou's got that torch glitch working too. So just has to worry about that left cauldron going out.
Yeah, and with that, the final arrow pierces Ganon. Raikou will be walking into the Triforce room in first place.
Indeed. So time to get those GGs out here, everybody.
Yes.
And we have an official time for RaikouRider now of 2 hours, 11 minutes, 47 seconds. Done. Comment. LOL. I feel that feels very relevant to this race.
Yeah, it has definitely been a very exciting race. Although following closely behind, Kid entering Ganon's Tower as Squirtle receives the Triforce.
And indeed restores balance to the world of Hyrule. That he is the best starter Pokemon in Gen 1.
Well, I won't go into much of a heat about my favorite Pokemon, but you could say that I have a burning passion for it.
Ah, I see.
Anyway, we're not playing Pokemon right now. We're not catching anything. Instead, we'll have Raikou in for an interview shortly. Meanwhile, we have Kid proceeding up the tower. Again, the exact same safeties, having gold swords, silver arrows, red mail. Not really any trouble.
Yeah, I was gonna say this should be a fairly quick and fairly effortless, comparatively so at least, fight. He's got the mirror shield too, so that's gonna really help with the Gurios when they fire their fireballs. It just deflects off of them, so you can literally stand facing them and not have to worry about getting hit with a fireball.
Fireworks for sale. Stop. Hammer time. Yeah, we did find the hammer in the potion shop. A very late hammer. We'll definitely have to ask our runners what they thought of the item progression that the seeders laid out for them.
It definitely, I would like to say, it definitely felt like it was a scavenger hunt. Like you were just going all over the place looking for clues for where items were.
Yeah, a very, very linear seed right up to the end, requiring a turtle rope as well. And with that, we do have Raiko in the waiting room. I'll drag him over momentarily. Good afternoon. Congratulations and GG on your victory.
Thank you. That was so. What made that entire seed even more agonizing was starting about 50 minutes in. I had to use the restroom, and I was afraid I was behind the whole time.
Oh, ouch! That's indeed unfortunate. Although it did not matter in this race in particular, as you did come out on top. But I would like to ask you about that hour hammer.
Not just that, like the hammer was pretty much impossible to be able to route in early because of where the lift upgrades were. Those are the those might actually be the trolliest lift upgrades I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was quite a brilliant set that the seed has had set out for you.
Yeah, I've been describing it in the commentary here as kind of a scavenger hunt, because you would get clues on where to go next, and you would find something else that would send you off somewhere else. Made it fairly linear, but at the same time, it was kind of, you were being forced all over the place. Did you have any feeling like looking for that last item, for example? Did you think it was somewhere else besides Catfish for a while?
Okay, so the reason why I left Catfish behind for so long is because there was no real good chance I had to ever route Catfish. Because when I got the 2 sword upgrades early and I was noticing that I didn't have a lift upgrade yet, the seed was kind of screaming Aga 1. And you might have noticed that I held off on going to Eastern for a really long time, which is something you usually don't see people do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were kind of wondering about that because I'm trying to remember if I'm remembering this right, but you did teleport to the potion shop from the Dark World, correct?
I did after I had the hammer.
Yes.
So basically, what I did was because you had to go. Where was the second lift upgrade? I know it was in some place dumb. I'm trying to remember.
It was up Death Mountain.
Edge, I believe.
No, Death Mountain was the second one. It was one on Sigurd's Ledge, and the Death Mountain was the other one, actually.
Oh right, yeah, it was inside Spectacle Rock. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to finish out Death Mountain and then see what I got there to see where I would route. And I found Bombos, which led me to consider going into Ice, but I had no hammer yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what I ended up doing when I did that was I checked Pod and then finally decided to go into Eastern. Didn't find anything. And then I decided at that point I was going to go check King's Tomb, and then King's Tomb led me in the direction of the Witch's Hut, and then I found Hammer. So at that point, that's probably where my biggest routing mistake was, is I should have just checked Catfish then, because that's the best time that I would have to check it, and I was really afraid that Catfish having something was going to really kill me, and it did. Because at that point, when I found Ice Rod, I was thinking maybe that it's in the first chest in T-Rock, because I've played a lot of seeds that have had I've played I think 2 or 3 seeds in the past month that have had Fire Rod and Turtle Rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were kind of thinking about that. Kid actually also kind of followed a similar path. Oh no, fell to Aga too. I think he's got the fairy though, yeah. So he's still good to go on that. Yeah, he's got that fairy and a Bali picked up from Misery Mire. Yeah, we were watching that, and that was one of the things that I noticed, and I was kind of hoping that, I hope it's not there, and Raiko checks late, because that could be, if that's an item and it turned out to be Fire Rod, that could be disastrous. But when Kid went to do the pendant turn in, he did a slightly different pattern. So he was in the light world and he couldn't teleport back to the dark world. So he also did not check Catfish until later, once he had gone through and did Turtle Rock as well.
This seed was so weird. Because when I did Aga, I was thinking that there would be progression on Pyramid Ledge, and then I think I went into Pod because I only thought that at first that that killing Aga 1 would open up Ledge and like the opening of Pod, and then I'm like, wait, I can get the hook shot. That's so weird. I've never seen that before.
That's what we were thinking. Yeah, like not only that you had to go get the hook shot as your progression item, but then you have to go all the way over to Village of Outcasts. And you have to take the long way and swim around the hammer peg and the rock to get there.
I have not had to do that in a very long time. Like swimming around to be able to get to West Dark World. I think I've only ever had to do that once in VT26 Plus. But when I saw the hook shot, I was thinking things were starting to be amiss, because usually if the Lake Hylia ledge has something that you want, you would route that after Swamp. But because it's the hook shot, you can't do that. So I was thinking, when am I going to pick up this hook shot? And then the game answered it for me. But this was a really slow seed to get going. I was super duper worried when I only had one crystal at 75 minutes.
Yeah, it was definitely a going at a really slow pace. Kid, meanwhile, in the Ganon fight, about to finish it off. We'll see if we can get him in here for an interview as well.
And I'm just really fortunate that there wasn't anything like some other place silly, because we had access to that fire rod for a very long time, even though it was hard to route to. Because to get Fire Rod, you had to get the mitts, and then instead of going to like all these dungeons and like West Dark World that you have access to now, you have to go to King's Tomb, and you already checked Graveyard Ledge because that's where the first lift upgrade was. So the value on going to King's Tomb to Catfish is so low.
Yeah, it's a really abnormal routing. You don't normally, normally it's one or the other. You do King's Tomb and you go off do something else. You don't normally get that, and it's like, okay, now I go over to, whatever and do whatever next, and it turns out, oh, it's Potion Shop, and then you have to think, do I go ahead and route, Catfish in now that I've got Hammer, or do we go somewhere else?
Just in general, a lot of locations in the seed were extremely dumb. You had to do an early Graveyard Ledge check to get a lift upgrade. You had to do King's Tomb at a really awkward time, which had the mushroom, which got you Hammer. Catfish had the Fire Rod. There was Flute at the Pyramid Ferry.
Yeah,
and there was a bunch of other really freaky things too.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the partial blame on that. I commentator cursed you guys because I retold the story of a race I commentated the other day that had a catfish go mode item, and I was like, it could be the case where this happens again. I don't know, and sure enough.
I'm actually used to it because it seems like no matter what randomizer I play, this happened in I think every Zelda 1 rando tournament I've played in. It happened in the Zelda 2 rando tournament. Well, not the tournament, but there was a weekly for the Zelda 2 tournament that I was or not Zelda 2, but like the Zelda 2 weekly races. I got featured in one of those. And then every single seed in this tournament has been insane.
Yeah, that was very interesting. And by the way, we should mention too that Kid's official time was a 2:21:39.
That's not that far behind, all things considered.
No, he was. The gap kind of seemed to stay the same for the most part toward the end there. You guys were kind of following each other's footsteps for a little bit.
Also, you may wonder why I did such an early pedestal check. It was because if I see multiple pendants in Overworld, I think it's more likely for there to be for it to be a ped seed. And with this setup, even just going blindly knowing only what the pendants and crystals are, Skullwood's Desert and Hera don't actually require that many items.
Correct, and I think we do have Kid in here. So hello, Kid. GG.
Hey, Kid.
Hello. Thank you.
So that seed was crazy.
When we got the item from the uncle, I thought to myself, well, this run's going to bomb.
Well, bombs at Uncle doesn't bother me. Actually, I'm more scared to death of a hammer at Uncle, because both of the tournament seeds that I've played, or it was either one or both of them, we had hammer at Uncle, and I didn't find a sword for almost an hour in either of those races. So I was very, very grateful that Link had his fully powered suit very quickly.
Indeed. And Kid, how about that seed on your side of things? What did you think about the chase of having to essentially run all over the map to find all the items that you needed to get into go mode? And it was linear, but the items you needed were in very weird places.
They were in very weird places, and when I got the mushroom and I turned it in, I thought to myself, hey, you should have come up here in the Dark World so you could turn in the mushroom and check Catfish at the same time. But you didn't, but keep going.
Yeah, and Raiko...
I made that mistake too.
Yeah, Raiko made a slightly different variation on that mistake. He actually came through the Dark World to the potion shop, and then once he got the hammer, saved and quit and went somewhere else. So it's kind of one of those things that, you don't think about it, I guess, at the time, but you do have a whole lot of places you can check. And Catfish is just that one kind of awkward place that
it's just so far out of the way that I'm like, yeah, I'm always saying, only go up there if it's worth it. If you're going up there to check Zora or Waterfall or that stuff, otherwise it's just so far out of the way for one item. But when you don't go up there, it's that one item that you need.
That's
yes, indeed.
That's something that I've been dreading in all of the Link to the Past tournaments that I've done, is something being important at Catfish, because I am one of those people that I am a huge, huge advocate of doing an early Zora check.
Yeah, and once you do that early Zora check, it becomes very, very hard to route that back in, as you guys said. So thinking about some of the other kind of trolley item locations too, you have the flute, which was your item you needed to get into Misery Mire. It was the last one you needed to get into Misery Mire, hiding out in the Pyramid Fairy chest.
Oh, speaking of Mire trolled me in the last seed that I played too, because the items at the Mire Shed were the boots and the hookshot.
Indeed, that's definitely one of those things that you really need to keep an eye out for, is those trolley locations. So trying to think what was there that was of interest. You guys actually found
boots were really hard to get to. I felt like things started looking up when I found the boots.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of divergence actually early on. Raiko picking up those early boots and going into Thieves Town early to get that blue mail upgrade. And Kid, you went up to Death Mountain and found a blue mail upgrade of your own on the old man.
Yeah, I was hoping that I was going to find the Titan myths up there so I could do all of Death Mountain while I was going through the first time, and luckily enough I did. But I don't remember really paying off that much in the Dark World, other than the half magic.
Yep. So really, anything else that you guys wanted to say about this seed in particular?
Can we get a new dealer, please?
Agreed.
Although
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I'm just one of those cursed people that gets insane seeds in tournament races. Anybody who watches me on a regular basis, I actually went back and restreamed both of my old races, so you can see just how insane the seeds were. In round 2, I had something silly. I think it was Mimic Cave required, but I would like a nice seed for a change, please.
Well, hopefully round 4 for both of you guys will be a lot kinder than tonight. So once again, congratulations on the good race. Congrats, Raiko, for picking up the win. Congrats, Kid, for putting in a really good fight there at the end, too.
Can't wait to watch this back, but I don't think I'll be able to tonight because I'm pretty sure I'm on the 11 o'clock match. I'll have to check the schedule, but I think I'm on that match.
Yeah, so if you still want to see more from these runners, be sure to check out all of the other speed gaming channels as well as the ALTTP randomizer channels. Now, if there is anything else you'd like to add, then please feel free to do so. But other than that, that's just going to do us for tonight.
GG, and thank you for the commentary, guys.
Indeed, GG. Yeah, and make sure to follow both of our runners, both Kid and Raiko, as well as following the wonderful tracker tonight, Itsu. Thank you, Itsu, for tracking for us, as well as thank you to Stan for co-commentating with me.
Very welcome. It's been a blast. Thanks to you as well, and these two amazing runners. And with that, I shall take my leave. So,
Indeed, thank you very much. And we're gonna get off here because we got some Rockman coming up here on Speed Gaming 2. There's more rando
definitely
on some of the other channels. So thank you once again. Good night and good RNG, everybody.
Yes, until the next time.